that's a triple play. New episodes, I couldn't wait. Yeah, open your mind at the first gate. Press play, no need to debate. AoA, check me out. Look, plugged in, you can catch the hype. Golden Dawn, how we follow the light. Anime like life, married to it, my wife.
Hello and welcome back to the AoA show. I am your host as always, Ian, along with my boys Isaiah.
Yo.
And Gavin.
Yo.
And today we are here to talk about Tower of God, Episode 9, our thoughts, our reactions, all of that good stuff. We're excited to get into it. So without further ado, right from the beginning of the episode, we are still with the Team B in their test against the ranker, whose name I forgot, but it's no big deal, red hair guy. And basically we find out virtually immediately that the one princess of Jihad,
Enderosi.
Thank you.
I think is her name.
Enderosi is kind of a bitch, which I mean, like, we kind of already knew right from the start. I think this just really like more solidified it. But I think there's more layer to it than that. I just think it's funny to call her a bitch. But so they basically go down like some elevator shaft or whatever, and it's her, Bam, and two of the fishermen. And you essentially find out that she tells all the fishermen to clump into one spot. She knows that only, I believe it's 4 out of 6 of them can pass. So she basically files off 2 of them, and then is, you know, planning to dispatch them. So that guarantees that, you know what I mean, like that X people are going to pass who she wants to pass. And it's really just a way of kind of like, I guess in her eyes, kind of like molding the competition to what she sees fit. Or she just chose those 2 randomly. I really don't know her motives. But Bam isn't really about it, because Bam is our, you know, very naive, pure of heart protagonist, as we have seen in so many stories. And he's like, yo, that's not cool at all, because, you know, these guys didn't do anything except live, and like, you're just kind of being a dick. And she basically goes into her backstory, which I'm curious to hear Gavin's thoughts of, because we were talking about this before the episode started, how Gavin was gosh darn sick and tired of everyone having this same backstory. But you know, it's the traumatic you know, thing where it's like, okay, me and a group of children were all, you know, training together, and it was basically a survival of the fittest style thing, where it's like you don't get fed at least the good food unless you do well in training, you know, and you kind of have to like be at each other's throats even though you're all together in order to excel, which is ironic because this is kind of what the tower is about, I guess, in a sense, or at least in her eyes. So it's like, it's really no different to her. Like it's the same thing. She's been doing this since she was a child. But Gavin, I'm curious to hear your explanation on her backstory and what your thoughts on that are. So please take it away.
You just want to hear me yell? Is that it?
Yeah, it's kind of funny.
I'm pretty sure it's the majority of it. But no, so don't get me wrong. I love the fucking show. But it like kind of reaches a point where it's like, I've seen this, like, you see these, like, narratives and ideals, like, throughout other shows that you watch. And, like, dude, I can't even tell you how many fucking times I've seen it when somebody's like, I'm just a fucking piece of shit because I had to kill everybody around me and I was forced to. And it's like, yeah, like, you feel for him and, like, that's shitty and all. But, like, dude, do I have to fucking hear this with every single episode or, like, every show I just watch? Like, I don't care if you killed your fucking family. That doesn't mean be a dick. Like, I'm about to just kill my family as, like, a proof of point and be like, look, I'm a decent person. Like, I'm not going to be a fucking asshole. Although I'm not going to do that because, you know, fuck that shit. I don't know why you got to be such a bitch after you do that. Like, Jesus Christ, you know? Like, learn to not be an asshole, you know? I don't know.
I think, like, I think it's implied that if, like, you are willing to kill those closest to you, that it's like that in and of itself is kind of making you a dick. You know what I'm saying?
It's not a switch that you can turn on and off. It's like, oh, my family's dead, but now I'm nice. Now I'm cool.
Yeah,
like,
but even Bam
ride with that title.
No, because even Bam was like, he made that like little like stark comment when he's like, don't you remember when you were weak and like you were eating that bread? Like they're weak too, and she's just like, nah, I don't remember what it's like eating that stale bread. Like, bitch, I'm gonna take some stale bread and shove it up your ass so that shit absorbs in your body better, and you realize how you're feeling because I don't like you. And like, oh my god, it's just so fucking aggravating. And then you get the other side who's like, I couldn't protect my fucking family, so I'm just gonna be even more a dick to solidify my own strength. It's like, no, you were a bitch back then, you're a bitch now. Go fucking eat a dick, like suck a fucking tit, and then call it a fucking evening. Go to hell. Like, oh my god, dude, that shit just like gets me going.
We'll get to that one. And that's
all right.
Rant concluded. from Gavin. But
This is what Ian wanted. This is what he wanted.
Gavin is tired of your basic ass anime protagonist.
This is what
backstory.
you wanted.
Like, I love it. Don't get me wrong, but fucking Jesus, dude. Like,
Do you?
Can we just make a thing of Gavin where he's just like you ever see the movie Gladiator? Please tell me you have.
No.
Oh my god.
I haven't seen any movie.
Okay.
I'm
For anyone who
Gavin.
is cultured and has seen the movie Gladiator, you'll get the point. We'll Photoshop Gavin's head on Russell Crowe when he's in the arena and he just killed everyone. He goes, "Are you not entertained?" And he just screams at everyone. That's gonna be Gavin. It's just Gavin's head photoshopped on there. Like this makes me. In your ranting, I just wish that you were a character in this show, Gavin, and like that you were able to attempt to climb this tower, and you just be like, I'm gonna shove that bread up your ass if you keep on talking, and then you
dude,
just
if I was in a show like this, I would literally just sit on the sidelines and call everybody a fucking pussy ass bitch and just laugh at them. And then when I die in the first round because I'm really a pussy ass bitch, well then we'll see where I stand at the end of the day.
Dead.
And you know
You'll
what?
stand dead.
Fucking, I'll stand dead, but at least I'll get to yell at a couple of them.
Oh
so
man,
it's
yeah,
worth
that shit
it.
was funny. But anyway, moving past that, so it is important though to her character, right? Because we kind of get to see, in so much as like a lot of characters in different shows have this similar upbringing, right? Like Zabuza comes to mind from Naruto or someone like that, where it's like you, I guess, sort of understand where their moral compass comes into effect and like the way that they view life. And it's hard because someone like Bam, I don't really think could ever understand that, or someone like Naruto, if you're going back to that, you know what I mean? Like as to draw a parallel. And it's like, it's like this hard give and take, you know what I mean? Because it's like with Dorsey, she's been doing this effectively her entire life. And this is really the only way she knows how to truly move ahead, right? With the path of least resistance is to basically eliminate everyone that's getting in your way. And when you're strong enough to do it, it's like, I think it's easier said than done for somebody to just kind of like flip the switch and, you know what I mean? Like change their whole persona and like the way that they go through it. But I think that's what makes characters like Bam all the more important, or, you know, your Narutos, your Bams, etc., because if they're able to like break through that and show, you know what I mean, like the folly of that way and be like, hey, like Bam says, it's like, you know, you were once weak too, like, and don't you understand that it's like you were trying to become stronger in that quest. So like, I think there's something to that, you know what I mean? Like the spirit. So I don't know. It makes me like Bam that much more because it's like, you know, again, Bam isn't anything like crazy new as far as protagonists are concerned. A lot of these shows draw similar parallels to others. But again, we've described it in previous episodes. That's okay. You know what I mean? Because I feel like they do it well enough and they are unique enough in their way of storytelling where, you know what I mean? It still makes these characters likable and different and stuff like that. But Isaiah, I wanted to have your thoughts on the next scene where basically the swordsman, again, whose name I forget, apologies, basically goes and tries to quote unquote fight the Rancor 1v1, because I know that's a character that you like. So I was curious to hear your thoughts up for that part of the episode.
Well, he doesn't technically, like, his goal or his assumption, which is what, again, I find the show intriguing, is like, you never really know where anybody's loyalties lie in the show. Like, you have your Bams, right, who are like about Rachel, and that's pretty, like, that's where his allegiance is. But like for most of the other characters, they're either up in the air or it's so well concealed, like, you know, within the context of the show that like you don't know because you think, you know, so and so is on somebody's side, and then it's like, oh fuck, no, actually he's with him, or what have you. And this fight is a perfect example because it's like at the beginning, the setup is that he is gonna work with the two spear guys, and he's like, all right, I'm gonna head down here and distract him, and you guys finish him off from the shadows. Little do you know that both those niggas booked it the literal second they cleared that man's like eye distance, and so he is fighting this Rancor alone, and you know he goes through this fight and everything, and I was impressed because again, this is a character who like slowly but surely you're seeing him like start to integrate with this whole idea of like working with people and like being, you know, part of the crew more. And come to find out that these were just some bitch ass niggas who just ran the second they were like, nah, this nigga's not gonna catch a Rancor. What are you fucking kidding me? Like, let's get out of here. So the Rancor who I want to give some shout outs to, because he's kind of a G who I thought was just gonna be like this angry little kid who like is upset about everything, but like actually is like, he's a G. He's like his morals seem to be in the right place, and he respects like good upstanding characteristics and personalities, because he immediately drops down on these niggas and he's like, oh, so y'all just some fucking traitors? All right, I know what to do with you. And like it was, I don't know, it was cool because I ended up like coming out of that whole scenario with like a different like outcome than I thought I would. Like I thought that, you know, these three were gonna learn like some, you know, important teamwork lessons, and then like, you know, they were all gonna show off their cool, you know, shit, and then maybe either like put down or at least temporarily like pin down the ranker. But it just made me like the ranker more because it's like, it showed how much stronger this dude actually is compared to these guys that are taking the test. But also that, like, again, and you see this later with when the, you know, the head administrator or whatever is talking with I forget the blonde hair guy's name, the other ranker,
Roe.
When he's talking with Roe, you see this again. But it's like, when I first started watching the show, I was like, okay, so it's the rankers and that dude, like it's everybody against them. But it doesn't really feel that way, right? The more episodes I get into, at least with this show, it feels like everybody really has like their own personal underlying motivations, and like it really just feels like premature or naive to assume that, again, unless we're talking about like Bam and Rachel, that anybody is on anybody's like one side, right? Everybody, there are so many times where like you see him like questioning either decisions the administrator makes or what his true purpose is. And again, with this ranker, the one during the test, it's like, I just walked out of this episode being like, I don't know. Every time I get one answer to a question, I get two more questions. And it's like, I just get hungrier for knowledge about this world.
Yeah, no, for real. And what's interesting about it, and what I kind of like come to terms with it myself, is that realistically, all the rankers are people who had reached the top of the tower at some point, or at least that's what's to be assumed at this rate. And obviously, we see the trials of what it takes to get to the towers. So the rankers that we have, in a way, they all have to be individuals on their own, because, you know, you really have to more or less fuck over your friends, or not even really your friends, you know, just people around you to get to that position of power. At least that's what is like the precedent of the show to what we know. So it's kind of like almost realistic how even as rankers, they still have their own agendas going on the side that aren't apparent or like aren't known for everybody else who is a ranker or a part of that like organization, because at the end of the day, they all had to do their own individual trials to get where they are, and they're still kind of like running with their own shit in a way, just with all this power. So like it's kind of interesting when you see, and you really got to wonder when our characters that we know start getting stronger and moving throughout the tower, how that whole ranker dynamic is going to kind of like self-implode in a way. At least that's what I see what's going to happen, because obviously you got Lero Rowe like doing his own shit, like not even, I mean, originally not even telling the other rankers that Bam could be like the possibility of a threat that he like very well is, and like was concealing it. And, you know, now it's getting more, the word out is spreading on how powerful he is, and you wonder if everybody's going to start targeting Bam, and how, you know, the other rankers like Lero Rowe and now Quant Blitz, however you want to say his name, how they're going to like work against their higher ups. So I wonder how that whole power scaling is going to end up, and if there's going to be like a falling out of sorts, or what.
Or even if they are going to do it, because again, realistically, we don't know anybody's real motivations or like what they want or why they want it. Like Quint could have come out of this whole situation being like, all right, I gotta fuck that kid up because he's going to be like, you know, a problem for me, or not. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's why I actually liked Enderosi's and the other dude's backstories, because as basic as they are, they thematically fit perfectly into the message here, which is like, they eventually really at some point you need to pick, like, if what you were saying is true, at some point these rankers had to make a decision to go in it and stick out for themselves and only themselves, right? And that's the literal lesson that Endosi has grown up learning her entire life, and that this nigga learned the hard way. So it's like, but you know, again, thematically in the show, the message is like, is Bam and his kind of personality going to be enough to be able to break these people out of like this mindset and this rut of like, you're only going to make it to the top of this tower if you know, look out for yourself and fuck everyone else over? Or is it not worth it making it to the top of the tower if you do that, right? That whole like duality, which I think fits the show perfectly.
I think that's like the basic human question, right? Where it's like, well, not so basic. It kind of draws upon a lot of existential themes and being, but like, you know, what is the world worth if you forfeited your soul? You know what I mean? And like, obviously this is potentially on a smaller scale. Who knows, if you climb the tower, it might be just be like, yeah, you're God now. Like that's what it is. But like, I would think it's not so large scale, but it definitely rings true, the same message. It's like how much you always, I believe they even say it in the episode, Dorsey might say it, it's like you always have to lose something in order to gain something, or at least if you're not necessarily
right.
doing
at some
it
point, everybody's going to taste loss.
Exactly.
People
and it's
can't
like,
have everything.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, how much are you willing to give up, knowing that you have to give something up, in order to attain these heights? It's a very interesting question. I feel like that's definitely a major theme in the show in general. But so from there we go and we kind of get to like the crux of the episode, which is like the vast majority of it. And it's where Ho, I believe his name is, right? Hell of a name. Basically is like, Rachel, come out your square thing. I got to talk to you. And she's like, okay. And like, again, Rachel to me is like almost even, I would say even more not intriguing. That's the wrong word, but more mysterious, I would say, than Bam to me. I feel like Rachel's deal is really weird. I have not seen her use an ability once. She has not fought once. Okay. She's like, you don't know what her motives are for climbing this tower. She easily is stabbed at this one point. You know what I mean? Like with like little to no resistance. Like she gets taken out. So I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What is
well,
her
I think
deal?
if all the people who are like part of that lighthouse thing, which is that cube that you're talking about, I think it's implied that like their prowess is not physical combat. Like that's not where
True, although
they're not about
Kuhn
that.
is one. Although Kuhn is one too, and he's a badass mofo. So I think it could vary.
Yeah, I'm just saying like if you I'm just saying he's the low guy is like can fight, and I get like all I'm saying is I don't think she would be able to have fought any of them off like single-handed combat. But I think like he makes a comment. I think it's like right before Bam shows up, where he's like, "Oh, you're trying to climb the tower too," and he's like about to say, I don't know if he's about to say like the reason why he thinks Rachel is climbing a tower, or why he thinks that she's here, or maybe like whatever. He's about to say something that very clearly he's gonna like give that away, or like go more into that, and then like Bam and whoever else I think rolls up, and shit starts kicking off. But yeah, again, it's just like more questions, more questions than answers as to like what does she want? Why is she here? What is this thing or multiple things? I don't even know that she is hoping to find at the top of the tower.
Yeah. And again, speaking of more questions being risen, so Ho basically convinces Rachel to come down from the square and puts a knife to her throat.
Lighthouse.
And basically says that I received a letter saying that if I do this, that I will be able to eliminate Bam by default, right? Because Bam's only purpose for being here is to protect you. So, and he obviously sees Bam as like a monster. He even refers to Bam as a monster, right? Because he has this incredible power that he can't even fathom, right? So he puts it to her throat. And basically, the Rancor, like a G, like as I was kind of saying, really just has a disdain for traitors. Comes up and he's like, "Yo, tell that idiot to kick rocks," essentially. And so that guy's kind of shitting his pants. And then Bam comes along, and basically he's got the knife to her throat, and he has this like breakdown where he's like, "This is all your fault. Like you showed your powers and everything." And I think it was interesting because Rachel's face kind of does like a, huh? You know what I mean? Like at that moment where it's like she kind of fears that. So I have a feeling like, again, this is completely conjecture and theory, and I could be changing my mind within the course of one episode, but I feel like it's like how Bam is there for Rachel, it almost seems like it's really the opposite. Like Rachel is there for Bam, if that makes sense. Like she's like the catalyst. That's at least my theory. I could be totally wrong. But essentially Ho tells Bam, "You got to fight the Rancor if you want me to not kill her," right? Not too successfully. Again, we see how the Rancor is just leagues above everyone in power scaling, which is funny because it's like you see these people like the Swordsman and Anak and like all these people right in like the prior episodes, and it's like, ooh, okay, they're the ones we got to be careful of. And then this Rancor comes and just child's play, dude. Like fucks.
Yeah. Well, it's the Naruto thing of like Genin and Jonin. Like the rankers
Yeah,
are just in a different class. Like the
Yeah.
swordsman is a tough guy comparatively to like a Bam or you know what I mean. But like to the rankers, like they're kids. They're literal children.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. I thought it was really cool, that Ranker's ability where he basically just like the flash run past Bam and then like force locks his body essentially, but with like the Shizu stuff.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Which Bam really loved too, because the nigga copycat ninjas that shit in 5 seconds, and he's like, all right, bet, that was dope, I got you. Which the ranker takes note of, and again is a clear sign to him and everybody else that like Bam is on, you know, some next level, you know, Jinchuriki shit. Like he's not, you know, he's not one of these commoner folks when it comes to, what is it, Shinshui, or what's the like the thing, the energy, the name of the energy?
Fuck, I just had it in my head.
Shinsu?
Yeah, I think it's Shinsu.
Yeah, that's what I'm calling it. That's what I'm running with, Shinsu. So, which was pretty dope. And one of the things I thought was interesting about that fight was the revelation that note that Ho got was a setup, because that's essentially why he was panicking. He thought that note was essentially a agreement that was sent to him to get rid of, either to capture Rachel and get rid of Bam, so that he could climb, you know, so that Bam would be out of the way. But actually, you find out that it was a setup by somebody who I think personally was Kun, but I don't really know. The only thing I really have to go off that, to be honest, is Kun is clearly forged an alliance with Bam, and Kun's a pretty smart ass motherfucker. So like, if he want, like, that's some Kun level shit where it's like, oh, I'm gonna send this nigga this note, that like all that shit. But yeah, and like you see him panicking where he's basically like, well, fuck, the ranker, like you're not supposed to be here, like nobody was supposed to see, you know what I mean? It was supposed to be very like low key, like that's why he even walked like off the, you know, he walked off the map basically, and everybody was like, oh, we gotta stop him. And of course the administrator, because he's evil nigga syndrome, is like, nah, let's just let it happen. And you're like, all right. I don't know where the line is here, but yeah, it's like, again, it's just this fucking like chess match almost of like who's got what cards and like who knows what about who, and I just find this shit so intriguing.
And so do I. The plot, every time you say something, I think in my head like the plot thickens. But yeah, it was some crazy shit, and damn, I had a thought and I lost it. But anyway, whatever, it's irrelevant. So then Dorsey comes down again, while or she does, as Ho is explaining his whole beef, right? Again, we already went through it. You know, he feels inadequate because he can't, no matter how hard he tries, although how hard are you really trying, but he can't get stronger, or at least he knows that there's people out there like Bam who he deems fate has chosen to be just stronger than he could ever imagine to be. So he feels inadequate. He feels ashamed that he couldn't protect his family or village or whatever the hell, you know what I mean? And he takes the wrong approach, in my opinion, and an opinion that I think, or I'm sorry, an approach that I think that all too many people take. And this might be not controversial per se, but you might have a different opinion on this. But I think too many times people get caught up with the notion that they have to be the best at what they do, instead of trying to look at it in the framework of, I need to be perfect at what I do. And I'll explain the difference. In being the best, right, that doesn't necessarily mean, depending on your circumstance, that it has to be just through hard work and you surpass everyone else. I feel like in Ho's sense, that would just be eliminating people that are better than you in whatever that is, right? And so even if you are mediocre at what you do, so long as you are better than everyone else, you are satisfied, if that makes sense, right? Like, you want to be the biggest fish in the pond. And I'm not saying everyone who looks at it in that framework is looking at it like that, but I feel like that's where it could be, it's dangerous territory. Whereas if Ho rather focused on himself rather than Bam and said, I'm going to do everything that I can to be better than myself each and every day, whether that's by 1% or 0.5%, right? Not worrying about Bam's journey and worrying about mine. I feel like that would behoove him a little more in his quest to become stronger and be someone that's worthy of strength. It's sad, though, because rather than take that approach, he can't help but compare himself to Bam, who is just leagues better. But again, fate has chosen him to be.
Or, I mean, it's not even, I don't even think it's really, he sees Bam with so much more natural potential, right? But potential does not mark somebody's talent or actual skill. So it's like, yeah, in hindsight, obviously the mature thing to do, right, would have been to stop focusing on external factors and focus inward. But again, I'm pretty sure most of these guys are kids, or at the very least the age of and maturity level of teenagers. So I don't really think anybody's taking the high road here in this group. Also, we'd have no conflict in the show if that was the case.
You're right.
So of course he's gonna get pissy at Bam and try to kill him. But like that's the thing, right? Is like if Bam, like, it's an immaturity in his character, right? To look at Bam, and instead of seeing an actual potential ally, like Bam was seeing him, right? He's like, oh, we're friends. We could have been like training together, whatever. He saw a threat because he saw somebody that was better than him, which brought back, traumatic flashbacks. But, it's like, again, it's the whole theme of the show where it's like, is it worth it? What matters to you, speaking as somebody who's trying to climb the tower, like what matters to you most? Do you want to reach this tower no matter what, or do you want to reach the tower only if you can do it with the allies and or friends that you've built like around you?
Yeah, no, that's definitely a good way of explaining it. But anyway, getting to the fight and the the kind of the conclusion of of the episode, when Dorsey comes in, just kicks the door down quite literally, and fucking has a sword that shoots flames and is like, all right, motherfucker, let's get it on. To the Ranker, she's got just balls of steel.
Real quick is great because she totally jacked it from the dude that they were fighting upstairs.
Yeah.
And like the one chick who rolls up, who's one of Ho's friends, was like, yo, that's so-and-so sword. Did you? And she's like, whatever you think happened probably happened.
Yeah,
like,
I know,
there's no questions asked. She's like, yeah, that nigga's gone. And
Dude,
it's like, whoa.
That was just a series of just like who's gonna top who in like the balls scale, because she goes, yeah, whatever you think happened probably happened. I'm like, wow, the nerve on this bitch. And then the other bitch retaliates by smacking her in the fucking face immediately. I'm like,
Dude.
What a savage. I'm like, who's gonna top each other in like terms of who's got more balls? Because that princess clearly has you beat, and you just slapped her in the face, then went to do it again. She's gonna do it again. And it's like, wow. She just like piped up, bro. That was hilarious. So yeah, that was crazy. And I also actually liked her. I liked her character a lot because she has this like, she has this moment with Ho as he is. Well, he's already dead, but she basically, paraphrasing here, basically says something along the lines of like, I feel like I've been slated in this world to always lose, or like to not be able to even taste what it is to win. She's like, I felt like I've cheated myself and there's been a hole in my heart because I never stood up to things when it mattered. She's like, but the thing is, she's like, the world's unfair, but the thing is like, if you choose to live, you know what I mean? Like, even if you're running down that road, there's still a road to take. You know what I'm saying? And when it's like your life is done, there is no road. And she ends it off with like, you could have been a good man. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could have been a good
essentially man. Arguably echoing the lesson that Ho should have taken or could have taken to, still be alive.
Yeah, I thought that was cool though. That was definitely like a deep moment for me, and I definitely liked her character a lot, and I liked that development in her that she showed, and I actually like her as a character. Although I can't even remember her freaking name, but I do like her as a character a lot, and I'm actually excited to see. I have a feeling she's gonna live for a while. I could be dead wrong. This show has a great way of subverting expectations.
Really? That's funny. I actually got the exact. I like her character too, but I actually got the opposite impression. I was like, I feel like she's gonna eat it soon. Like,
who knows?
Not like, again, I love her character, but like I was just like, I don't know why.
We're taking bets.
Just feel like she's not gonna stick around.
Right? We're taking bets. What do you think? If you already saw the webcomic, you can't comment. But anyway, no, I thought it was interesting. So they brawl. Bam tries to do some shit. Ranker dodges it, again, just showing his power and ability. Swipes the quote-unquote jacket from the princess. Princess comes up, leans her head on him like, oh, you got me, and then pulls some like typical sleight of hand shit where she's like, nah, you actually grabbed my underwear and I now have your badge. And it's like, damn, that was smart. That was smart, lady, because she knew she.
I hate to.
Go ahead.
I hate to keep drawing parallels to Naruto, but like, it's the Kakashi test, right? So many niggas get caught up with this idea of like, if you're fighting a fucking Jonin level person, that like you've got to beat him, and it's like, no, that's not the point of the test. You just have to get the badge. So if you yell the ending to Kakashi's favorite novel while you're grabbing the bells, that nigga's gonna cover his ears because he doesn't want to hear that shit, and then you snag the bells. It's like, if you can't beat him with your fist, just be smarter. And I love it when they do that shit and they pull it off so well. It's like, never saw it coming.
No, for sure. Yeah, that was really cool because she gave me like Vegeta vibes this whole time, where she was like, yeah, fuck him. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to talk shit until I'm dead type thing. But it was like she subverted my expectations because I did not. I knew she was smart, and I knew that there was going to be a way that they got through this, but I didn't know it was going to be like that, you know, like until she went and rested his head on his shoulder. I was like, she's got something up her sleeve. She wouldn't just do that. You know what I mean? And then like she had it, and that Rancor was like, son of a bitch. Cause like, although he's immensely powerful, you know what I mean? Like he still got duped twice by Kun and by her.
Well, he's strong, but he's cocky, right? The whole last 2 episodes they've made that almost, which is why I liked that moment that you did get to see him sort of like have with the samurai and the stairs have that moment, because they make it a point to be like, oh, this nigga's getting angry, like shit's over, it's all over for them. Where it's like, all right, so this whole nigga's character arc is he's angry, right? But it's like, it is an important factor because the way that this works is like that's a trait of his that they, I keep wanting to call them students, the team B can use to their advantage, right? If you get him riled up, he's not going to think clearly, and he's going to grab underwear instead of the badge, and then you win.
And then you win. Yeah, man.
Simple as that.
Gavin, I feel like you haven't talked in a little bit. Is there anything else that you want to talk about in particular?
I'm just like replaying how I would have written this whole scene out, and literally all I would have done was just, dude, I would have had Bam literally fucking, what's that chick's name? I already forgot it.
Dorsey?
The bitch.
Which
and
chick?
Dorsey. Yeah, and Dorsey. Yeah, I literally, instead of blasting fucking Blitz with that like fucking stun bolt piece of shit, I would have just shot that shit at Dorsey, took an actual dump on her face, and then probably pissed on her, and then just like sat and watched the rest of the show. Like literally, as soon when I saw him try to stun Blitz in midair, I was like, you fucking piece of shit, go after the bitch. Like, why are you doing this? I literally just want to see her like get her face like run through a fucking grinder. I don't care. I hate her. I hate her. I understand her character. I get her character. I literally just want to fucking shove a rod down her throat.
Well, I'm not gonna lie, Gavin.
Like,
that would have been probably a little more boring, a little bit more anticlimactic.
A little bit more boring. What do you mean? Anticlimactic? Get out of here! If I saw Bam shitting on a bitch's face, I don't know what you mean by anticlimactic, my friend.
I mean, because the show would have ended after this episode.
No, it wouldn't have. He would have been fine, dude. I wanted to see some like self-implosion.
You think they would air more of this show after that scene? I highly, highly disagree.
You're wild. Let the people decide. All right, so let us know, folks. Let us know in the comments down below all of your thoughts on this episode. Did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? What things that we may have missed, or things that you picked up on, or that had like a profound impact on your way of thinking or on the show. We're curious to hear all of those thoughts, so please don't hold back. Let us know. But I mean, that's really all we got for you guys today. Tune in next week, obviously, for our next review on episode 10 of Tower of God. I'm excited to see where the show is going, at least for the 13 episodes I believe that this season will be. So we have that for the next couple weeks. And if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys are checking out some of the other videos that we have as well. We cover relevant anime news, up-to-date anime news. Also, just kind of talking about more generic topics and things of that nature, and just kind of getting down in the nitty-gritty of anime and all that entails. Reviews on movies, on different shows, the whole nine. Got a lot of videos, some vlogs, all that kind of stuff. So you're welcome here, and we're glad to have you. But until next time, folks, we will catch you on the flip. Thank you so much for listening. Peace.
Later.
Peace.
Hey folks, thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our new episodes.
You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at AoA Podcast if you want to keep up with our content or suggest new ideas for the show.
You can watch us on YouTube or listen to us on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Podbean, or more. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week to talk about all things anime.
Ninjas and samurais, blazing the cool knives. Find me in the leaf of the cloud, screaming out Bankai. We just some ghouls.